Challenging her abilities as detective really set her off. The short wick burns out the fastest is a scientific fact. That's not necessarily true. It's not the wick, it's the candle. Like if it's a thin candle, it burns faster than a thick candle. That's not true. that's not true. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? Yes, it would. I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. Yeah. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. You go back to school. Stop being here. What are you doing here? Lana Sky intended to murder Detective Goodman. You said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie. I believe what she just said was mere prelude to the story she's about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again. Rookie! Never interrupt the storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. You're half-baked. Try not to confuse the defense witness. They're not very quick on their feet. What, you believe the suspect has intentions to murder the victim? That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. You have no proof that Miss Sky called him there. You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Edgeworth thoughts? There is no record of a call made on the defendant Miss Lana Sky's phone. She might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness! Why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? I'm sure the chief prosecutor has a grudge against the victim. What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Rocky! I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? The camera. How am I supposed to know? See? We agreed there is a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? No. I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. What? What happened to the grudge? What the That's how ghastly the whole scene was. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. How would you know? Hold on. Check. She didn't have a red muffler. She didn't have a red muffler. Wild. Absolutely wild. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. Nani? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. Why is he doing my job? And you've proved it yourself with this photograph. Ah, but that can't be. Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. What was my objection, chopped liver? But it was there, a scarf. No, not that, but something red, really. Well, now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. Nani? Very well, witness, continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Wait, she apprehended the suspect? Why was this not... All this stuff previously was not important. The fact that she wasn't wearing a scarf, like you pointed out, and then the game immediately throws that away. And then we move on. It has no consequence. We're being asked to jump through these hoops that don't have any consequence to the plot. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. Exactly. We're talking about things that aren't important. The most important part, the part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her and explained her rights to her and arrested her on the spot. Yeah, how could you have done that if you were on the other side of the parking? Yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Why would she talk about her muffler? The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Starr, resistance is futile. You are quite determined about this scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a crowbar. That's me, Angel Starr. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. No, shut up. What are you doing here? Can you piss off? The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman, rah. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do, except that security is on the other side. And what did you do then? I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. How could she have gotten over there so fast? You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Maybe I should press her for more details. Press her! I'd like to see this on the floor plans just to be safe. The Lunchland car was... She was a visitor, thus she parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here? No, the angle of the photo is from there, but sure. That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. But there was a chain link fence in front of you! I went over it, of course. Amazing! The cough of Queen, lunch lady athlete indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. She couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high too. So how did Miss Sky not get away? Yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. Why? She mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say? If I remembered exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Just that one word? So what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else. Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? She can't mean... Ask further. By her phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately, my memory is like a salmon heading upstream, you see. No, the court doesn't see, Mr. Starr. The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right! Near the car there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order, and so she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Awful. Good witnessing, witness. Good witnessing. Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony. The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. Lana's cell phone updated in the court record. But Emma said she didn't say anything. She hung up 3 seconds afterwards. I saw it all, how she tried the phone on the wall but had to use her cell instead. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? Aha! I was going to ask the same thing. I only say this one time, so listen close, rookie. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim, then ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. She pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket, but the cell phone was found here. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. Then when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this? What is it, Mr. Wright? The chief prosecutor made up to escape, but against the Angel Starr resistance is futile. Okay, she couldn't have seen it because it's on the other side of the wall. Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Skye. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. No, she has a grudge against prosecutors. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up! Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Skye making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it. What? This is so stupid. But none of these things impact on the fact that she stabbed him. Like the fact that she ran behind and called somebody, that has nothing to do with the stabbing. All of this stuff is irrelevant. Unbelievable. Order, what is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Grah. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counter-attack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... I think all of these are correct. What she saw, where she saw it, the order of events. I think all these are correct. Lied about where she saw it. Miss Skye tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie, I see. But say the witness did actually see Miss Skye using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least tell me it. At least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Starr witnessed this crime was... But the photo was taken from here, right? Saw it from the security room. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room? Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It is built on the second floor so you can see the entire lot. she would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr, how many years have I been getting the better of men? I don't know, like 2? You got kicked out of your job 2 years ago. To think that the tables could be turned. Today a man has got the better of Angel Starr. Order! Witness! What have you done? You used to be a detective, you should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. I mean, you've already destroyed your own credibility. The guilty! Is she talking about Miss Sky? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense. Ah! She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything. But it would, because she can't see the crime. Because the wall blocks what happened right behind the wall. Exactly, this photograph tells all. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim, but who took the photograph? The truth still stands. It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. Nani? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Ah, me. Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what? What could it change? Angle of view to the crime. Why the angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? Ah, well, the security guard station is on the 2nd floor, and she would have sort of a more... No, what are you talking about? The photo is from a different angle. Somebody else took the photo. What's wrong with you? There's another witness. Jesus, who wrote this story? She would want 3D view of the crime. And this is important why perhaps you'd like to reconsider, Mr. Wright. What the fuck? Unbelievable. Who wrote this nonsense? The photo is taken from a different angle. There's another witness. It's a different angle. Angle of views to the crime. Who wrote this? Who can I like? I'm gonna write an angry letter to the person who wrote this. There's also the distance to the crime. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. No, not the visual distance, the foot distance. The door is there versus the door is on the other side, or the fence. I don't see how that would change what she could see. What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Exclamation! Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness, you... Yes. You ordered the squid wheels, right? No, answer the question. The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass walled station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Okay. And then you ran all the way back? That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in B block. That's quite a detour. First of all, that's ridiculous. Second of all, that wasn't on the map. We didn't see that part on the map. This is, again, it's new information. It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. For 5 minutes? This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it, I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do I have any evidence to stop this? Yes. Objection! 5 minutes between witnessing of the murder and the arrest? Think about it. You could make it past in that amount of time. If you like al dente. No, it's the phone call. The phone call was 3 minutes afterwards. So she wouldn't have heard her say muffler on the phone. I've got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. That's right. Hey, don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Skye dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. That's not what I thought. What I thought is I had evidence that she couldn't have spent 5 minutes walking all that way and also heard her talk on the phone and say muffler. Right? That's the contradiction. But again, the person who wrote this game doesn't realize about that other contradiction that they made. Awful. This writing is awful. So bad. This is so bad. There's so many holes. There's holes everywhere. Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth is the next witness ready to go. Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned, and with that, court is adjourned. That's so bad. Hold it! Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist up on me. I prefer not to take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. Nani is that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Mr. Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple decker! Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Nice. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she gonna pull out of her lunchbox this time? Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now... to the matter of the victim's shoe, did I not bring this up? No. 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was of course the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. What does that prove? That she couldn't run away? Nani? There was blood found on that shoe? The game's just presenting you with new stuff. They're just making stuff up as they go. Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Shut up about your lunches already. Like, it's funny the first, like, 5 times, I guess. It's not funny anymore, the lunch thing. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? This is so bad. You're just making shit up. Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed. Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. Oh, that's convenient. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Huh. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. I mean, the game's just making it up as they go, so whatever. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another court count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Victim's shoe added to the court record. White enamel shoe bears traces of blood from Goodman and Lana Sky. Why would Lana bleed on it? Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Oh, Lana cut her hand on something. Lana has the bandage thing on her hand.